Paulie Malignaggi is joining us from his buddy's gym, which I got to look at it about 5 minutes ago. Boy, does it look like a boxing gym. That is great. Give your buddy right now. Give your buddy a shout out on our show. What's his name and where's the gym?
Yeah. My buddy's Paul Garcia. It's a makeshift gym in his garage. You know, we kind of come here and just work out, you know, and just do stuff. And it's very boxing oriented. You know, it wouldn't be a gym that I hung out with and trained if it wasn't boxing oriented.
All right, just don't give away the address. We don't want to have people rushing to a Brooklyn garage. Okay,
No.
Let's start with this. I want to go to the sparring session, and you were unhappy with the video. Here's something that I noticed, Paulie. There was a referee in the ring during the sparring section. I've never seen that. Why was he there?
Well, Colin, you know, I think Conor McGregor wants to get used to boxing rules, and so he hired a retired Hall of Fame referee in Joe Cortez to referee all the sparring sessions. So I think he wanted to kind of get used to the way things are in boxing, because, you know, rules are different in mixed martial arts than they are in boxing, and he wanted to know what he's doing wrong, and he wanted to know what he's doing right and whatnot. So in every single sparring session he had, Joe Cortez was there. But I don't know, Conor was a little weird. He didn't just want him for the actual sparring. He wanted him for the stare downs, the instructions. I found it a little bit tacky at times. But as far as Cortez actually refereeing, that's the reason he was there for.
Okay, you're a natural boxer. Conor's a UFC guy who can do a little boxing. He's a lefty. His style is obviously quirky. Do you believe that his quirkiness, he's a little stronger, I think, perhaps, than Mayweather. Could it create problems for Floyd at all?
Listen, I think at the end of the day, if you're looking at it for style-wise, it's not a matchup. Style-wise, Conor can't match Floyd at all, you know. But I think what you want to really look at for this matchup is the intensity. You know, Conor's a younger guy. He's bringing that youthful intensity, and the intensity Conor brings can sometimes be a little bit of a change of pace. You know, you got to understand Floyd's fought some great fighters. He's beaten some great fighters, but all of them, to a degree, have had a little bit of respect for Floyd because they know how good he is and and what he can do. Conor is coming in a little bit as a rookie. Call it ignorance is bliss in a way, but in a way it also makes it more exciting because he's not really coming with that kind of respect for him, you know. So he's bringing if you're trying to match skills and styles, it's not a matchup. I mean, if you're thinking about that, then he's going to get his ass kicked. But it's not about that. It's also about the intensity and your game face. And from that degree, you know, you see Floyd last night doing Jimmy Kimmel. You see Floyd out and about in the All Access shows that they're previewing the fights. I'm sure Floyd is training. Don't get me wrong. Floyd doesn't go to training camp without training. But, you know, the intensity and the youthful intensity at that, obviously, is a different dimension that McGregor brings.
Okay, now you're a sparring partner, so your job is not to beat Conor. But when you hit him, does Conor have the chin? Mm-hmm. If Conor decides my only way to win this is to go right after Floyd and I'm going to take some shots, does Conor have a good chin?
Conor's got a decent chin. I mean, you know, we're all wearing headgear and bigger gloves. Conor's got a decent chin, you know. But you mentioned the referee. One thing Conor has to understand, and you see that in that little clip that they sent out, it wasn't so much that he's landing shots because most of the shots are missing. If anything, they've shot themselves in the foot because all the dirty stuff he does that the referee will actually warn him for. In that particular sparring session, there's no judges, but he lost 2 points away from that particular sparring session for fouls, for rabid punching and hitting behind the head and pushing the head down. So where he really has to learn is not so much to take the shot or not take the shot, because you want to try not to get hit. What he really has to learn is to try to keep it within the rules, because he's a little bit confused as to what he's doing in there. He's a little bit confused, especially on the inside, as you can see in that tape. He's trying to grab and push the head down. Inside fighting in boxing is very different than inside fighting than in mixed martial arts. You can't grab. You actually have to know what you're doing on the inside.
John Horn is Mike Tyson's former manager. And he said yesterday, you know, when Paulie got mad, it's quite possible that he went into these sparring sessions and Conor doesn't really understand the culture of sparring partners, and maybe Paulie's role wasn't well defined. You had 2 sparring sessions with Conor. Was there confusion? Did you understand your role? Did he understand his entirely?
Yeah, I understand the role. Listen, I've been in a lot of training camps. You know, I was an ex-world champion. A lot of sparring is very violent, so I don't mind the intensity of the sparring. That's never a problem. The problem is video editing and whatnot. If you're doing that good, why are you trying to prove to the world how good you are? Just put the videos out. Don't edit them. leave it concurrently running 20, 30 seconds in a row. If you have the advantage, if you're saying you have the advantage for 12 rounds straight, as they're saying, leave 20 or 30 seconds running concurrently. Don't have to edit in from one round to the other and try to mix in little highlights. Just do it the right way. I feel like it's almost, I've mentioned it in this adjective, it's almost adorable. It's almost cute where, he's trying so hard to convince the public, I can do this, I belong in this fight. You don't have to try so hard, little buddy. I want to give him a hug and tell him it's going to be all right. But it's really not. It's really not going to be all right if he keeps doing this. Like, he's got to focus on the fight. He's got to stop trying to convince everybody that he can do it and show everybody he can do it on fight night. Because editing videos and mixing and matching footage is not what you're going to be able to do in a live fight against Floyd Mayweather. So, like I said, I think he needs a hug. But at the end of the day, he needs some strong advice. And the yes men in his corner need to stop being cheerleaders and being trained. And they need to start being trainers.
He did land a left with you, but I said it looked like you were mimicking Floyd with a shoulder roll. Was that a legit punch, or were you just trying to mimic Floyd and leave yourself vulnerable?
Well, no, in some spots I'm trying to mimic the looks Floyd gives, and then in some spots I'm boxing. In that particular shot that he landed, it was actually the last round. It was 12 rounds. We had boxed 12 rounds. So he took a clip from round 12 where I was actually tired. I wasn't in 12-round shape. I mean, I've never heard of a sparring partner doing 12 rounds, but I'm not a complainer, so I did it. So the last couple of rounds, I had fully admitted he had gotten the advantage. For the first 10, he probably didn't have the advantage, though. But so that clip was taken from round 12, and then it was mixed in from a round earlier and to try to make it look like that was the shot that did the initial damage, because the shot where I went down, there was no shots that landed. So the sequence where I went down, it was a lot of missing and slipping and pushing down. So I think that left hand that landed, they needed to tie that clip into the other clip so they make it look like there was a shot that landed. But it was a decent shot, don't get me wrong. You're in sparring. You can't play in the mud without getting dirty. If you're sparring in the ring, especially for 36 minutes, some shots are going to land from both sides. At day's end, it was a decent shot. I do think Conor has to learn to turn punches over. But more so than that, I think he needs to learn how to keep it clean. He's going to get himself disqualified if he keeps punching behind the head and pushing the head down. He needs to understand that inside fighting in boxing is different than inside fighting in mixed martial arts. And the rabbit punches are fouls in both sports, so he already knows that as it is. Christine mentioned this. She was watching Kimmel or something last night, and Floyd's like going around saying, hey, I'm going to change my style. And I'm like, that's a bunch of hooey. We don't believe that because we don't think Floyd cares about anybody but Floyd. When you hear that Floyd's going to mix it up with Conor, what do you? Is that just selling tickets to you? To some people, might be selling tickets. Here's how I look at it. I've seen many Floyd Mayweather fights. I followed Floyd throughout his career. Floyd will give you pockets of aggression if he doesn't respect your style. Now, if he has a guy who he respects his style, Canelo Alvarez, a Manny Pacquiao, guys that he feels like, oh, man, you know what, I got to be on my back foot with this guy and be really alert because he can hurt me, then Floyd will fight a defensive fight, counterpunching, use the skill set part of boxing. But there has been fights in Floyd Mayweather's career where he knows he can break you. He starts to realize he doesn't have to respect your style, your power. Even if you have power, you have to know how to land it. And if at a certain point Floyd comes to the realization that there's nothing to respect, even if you can punch. I mean, he was starting to walk down Victor Ortiz. Victor Ortiz, to me, is a bigger puncher than Conor McGregor. He was starting to walk him down in the last round where they fought, So he started to walk down Zab Judah, another good fighter, another good southpaw. So there comes a point in Floyd Mayweather, in a Floyd Mayweather fight, where he believes that if he doesn't have to respect your game, if he doesn't have to respect your boxing ability, he will start to walk you down. And his fights have proven this. But, of course, it's all going to depend on what Conor brings to the table. If Conor enforces some respect, Floyd will take a defensive approach. So I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibilities. As a matter of fact, Conor's never been a guy who's been a boxer for a long time. So I think he has to enforce the respectability through his intensity because he's not going to do it through his skill set.
Do you think Conor will at least be respectable? And if he is, would you fight him after that?
I don't know. Like I said, I think if you look at skill for skill, this guy doesn't even know how to shadow box. So I think he has to bring something different to the table. He's been trained in a little bit of a different way. I personally didn't agree with what they were doing in the gym, but it's not up to me to say that. On Fight Night, we'll see if he looks like a genius or if he looks like an idiot. Like I said, if I had to judge on skill for skill, this is a wash. This fight is a mismatch. But I look at the intensity level of a youthful guy, and I look at the fact that I still think Floyd Mayweather, although he trains, is still underestimating him a little bit. Like, why are you doing Jimmy Kimmel a week and a half out of the fight? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you traveling to LA when you're supposed to be in training camp? Why are you moving around this much? You got to get your game face on, because at the end of the day, you can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't have your game face on, somebody's intensity can devour you, even if you are better than that person. So it's important to have the psychological approach be correct as well as the physical approach, and we'll find out if Floyd has that next week.
And would you fight him if he's at least respectable? Would you fight him?
If he's respectable, yeah, of course I'll fight him. That's not a problem at all. I think at the end of the day, when two guys don't like each other, especially him, he had the power to not speak about me at all, not put me in the media, and he had the power to make this go away. He's the guy that everybody's paying attention to right now. Instead, he keeps putting up pictures of me on his Instagram. He keeps putting up videos he's editing up on social media and whatnot. So in a way, I think subtly he's trying to keep me relevant in all this. I wasn't supposed to be relevant in all this. I was just one of the commentators. I'm an ex-retired fighter. But at the end of the day, he's brought this up. I'm obviously going to speak about what really happened because you can only edit so much. You have 36 minutes of running video, and you can't even put together a 20-second straight concurrently running clip of you dominating the action. And you're going to try to say you dominated 12 rounds. I think it's a little funny. I think it's a little tacky, but like I said, I also think it's a little bit cute because he's trying so hard. He's like the little engine that could. He's demanding attention. Like he really wants to convince everybody that he can do this. If he looks decent, yeah, I'll get in there and kick his ass. But if not, then Floyd will do it next week, and I don't think anybody will want to watch him box again. It's really up to him. Like I said, the thing he has going for him is the intensity. I think that's what you really have to look at when you look at Conor McGregor, because for skill, it's even established professional fighters don't match Floyd Mayweather's skill. But the intensity of a 40-year-old usually doesn't match the intensity of a 29-year-old, and that's where you have a difference here.
Why do you think he's trying to keep you relevant?
Yeah, why do you think he's trying to keep you relevant?
I think subtly he wants to box again after this. I really do. He's got some very tough mandatory fights coming up in the UFC if he goes back to the UFC. Mixed martial arts is not federally regulated the way they can break up the money, so he can make more money boxing because there's federal regulations in boxing to where they can't keep all the money. In the UFC, Dana White can keep almost all the money. He can pay you what he wants to pay you, and you can't even take him to court because there's no rules regulating that sport. In boxing, if a promoter is keeping all the money, you can take him to court and fight him on it. You know what I'm saying? So there's more federal regulations in boxing. He can keep more of the money he generates in boxing than he can in the UFC. And the UFC, not only would he have to make less money, he's having pretty tough fights coming up. Like that guy Khabib and that guy Ferguson, they're not playing around. They're waiting for McGregor to come back very, very hungry. There's even guys like Jose Aldo that want a rematch. Nate Diaz wants a third fight. I don't think Conor is really looking forward to going back to seeing those guys. So I think he can make more money boxing, and he's probably looking for an opponent that he can kind of vibe with and match up with. And you don't want to put him in with a prime world champion because you say like an Errol Spence. Errol Spence would put Conor in a hospital for a couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? So you need to kind of vibe. You need to kind of match up correctly. I'm an ex-world champion. I have a name, but maybe I'm a little bit past my prime. It's kind of what he got. It's kind of what he's trying to do with Floyd Mayweather as well. We'll see how it works out. But he's got to look at least respectable next week. Otherwise, it's all for nothing.
Paulie Malignaggi, good talking to you, man. I enjoyed all your commentary here. Thank you.